to the tap-in session number 14. My. B.H. Brilliant Minds would like to thank you this evening for taking out time from your busy schedules to joining us. I will be your host today. My name is Barbara Howard. I would also like to acknowledge that B.H. Brilliant Minds would like to, again, thank you all for taking out the time in your busy schedules. Our love language for the tap-in session is we are creating a platform to highlight and uplift people of color, brilliance, resilience, boldness, vibrant spirit, and our gift to last and love. On this show, we have been talking with educators, psychologists, life coaches, health healers, health providers, activists, financial advisors, community warriors, artists, business owners, and practitioners to get the insight from them on how we should heal ourselves, our families, and our communities as we move in real time, dealing with traumatized hearts, minds, and spirits during COVID-19. And we are also looking at systematic racism, stress, and injustice. We are asking our facilitators and people like you, our community, to give us a holistic approach to creating healing practices to sustain in these days and times. Whew. Part 2, intergenerational conversation, thoughts on captivating our strength, courage, creativity, wisdom for 2021 and now. I would like to give you all a foundation to how we build these sessions, these last few sessions. The 11th tap-in session was Women Inspiring Women. The 12th was Men Inspiring Men. And the 13th was Generations Inspiring Generations. Tonight we have part 2 again. Intergenerational conversations and sharing thoughts on captivating our strength, courage, creativity, wisdom, again for 2021. Some of you may be inspired to share your thoughts. Some may be inspired to take notes. Some may be inspired just to allow your presence to empower us on this session this evening. However you participate, we are thankful and grateful. We are grateful again, definitely keeping in mind that many hearts and minds at this time of the year, it may be a challenging time for some. Please know that we are holding you and your family in our prayers. To who all that are listening and are participating, I am hoping that someone will be said to ignite, to inspire you to continue to walk in your creative purpose in this life. As you participate in this session, we want to let you know that if you are participating via email, via Zoom, via social media, you are giving B.H. Brilliant Minds and Zoom the authorization to record you, your voice, and your comments. And definitely at the end, take your picture. So I just want to say again that I am grateful and thankful to have you here this evening. We are excited. The devil was so busy, but I'm grateful that we pushed through. As we get started, I will have a young lady. Let me know if you're on. Her name is Dinesha, and she's going to share a little bit about herself, and she's going to open us up with a poem that she wrote. Dinesha, take it away.
Yes, ma'am, I am here. Hello, everyone. Hope everybody is having a good Monday. I have had a very long, productive Monday. Been up since 5:30 this morning.
Oh, wow.
My poem is titled I Am Me.
Say it again.
My poem is titled, I'm sorry, can you hear me? My poem is titled I Am Me. When they ask you who you are, tell them I am me. I am a threat to the greater good of my community. I am strong enough to conquer all of my dreams. Oh, and yours too? Is that why you try so hard to deprive me of my education and my history? I am me, blessed and educated, sassy and classy, but most importantly, I am proud to be me, despite the harsh words you would say about me, because you and I both know you could never be me. Empowering others to be the best that they can be, disregarding the bullshit that they might see in your company, encouraging them to strive, disregarding all the lies. I am me, a lover, a fighter, a strong Black entrepreneur, an advocate for my community. I am me.
Thank you for sharing that.
Beautiful.
And if we
There you
can,
go, Donna.
would you please also share a little bit about yourself? And it will then explain the actual poem to our audience. Tell us a little about where you're going to school, what you're doing, and a little bit about your mom. And then we're going to go ahead and move on.
Okay. So I am going to school at Walden University. I'm in an online MSW program where I'm studying to get my master's and considering if I want to go to get my PhD. I have about 3 classes left in my master's program, and I'm studying social work. My long-term goal is for me to open my own nonprofit that basically connects with the community and connects with children that are placed in group homes to provide additional resources for them. I also want to open my own group home. In addition to that, I currently work in a nonprofit right now. So I'm doing a lot of community engagement and advocacy for residents and just things that they need and all of that. I lost my mom when I was 15 years old due to cancer. And that's what kind of put me in a position to know, like, okay, how do you get through something like this? How do other people get through something like this? And it just lead me towards social work. And that's when I start looking into it and understanding what social workers do and what they help, and just how they help people. So that's my passion. And yeah,
Thank you.
why I do what I do.
All right. Thank you, Dinesha. We appreciate that. So with that, the word for tonight, as we move through inspiring and educating and empowering each other and sharing our wisdom, the word for tonight would be, starting off, would be strength. Tell me a little bit about what do you think about strength? How does strength resonate to you as individuals? And thank you, Dinesha, for sharing, because you just talked about your strength and that was pushing through with your mom. Anybody else would like to chime in on the word strength?
Well, first I'd like to say that was a powerful poem. I mean, it said everything and then some. The thing that I heard the most was "you could never be me," and that speaks to the strength that we have as a resilient people. And so when I hear you claim that, and I hear you declare that, and that you could never stop me from what I need to be, it just resonates with the power of our ancestors and what they brought to the table that is in our blood today. So when I think of strength, you're the embodiment of what our ancestors fought through, all the horrible things that they had to do that landed them here in America and other places that dealt with slavery. So I applaud you in that poem, and I think it was very powerful. And I picked out, but that statement resonated with me because they could never endure what we endure and still have the positivity that we have and the courage and resilience to move forward. and just the innate ability that we have to overcome obstacles, and to create things out of nothing. So I think our strength lies in our ancestors, the voices of our ancestors, and that blood runs through all of us.
Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
I was going to share. Yeah, that was really good, Ms. Crystal. I totally agree. And that was a beautiful poem. I feel lifted. I love when the babies inspire us.
Yes.
You know, this is just a beautiful thing.
Yes.
But what is resonating when it comes to strength, and I just had this conversation with my son today. The older I get, you know, the least I realize what I know. And when it comes to being strong, I realize that being strong for me is like my most vulnerable moments. Being strong is saying I don't know something, I don't know the answers. And we usually equate that to being weak or being stupid, or, you know, and I think we need to redefine that. I posted something I want to share, just so happened to have shared on Instagram recently. And I was surprised that it resonated with so many other, particularly Black women. But it says, please stop calling Black women strong as a compliment. Strong is why our mortality rate in medicine is high. Strong is why our pain is not taken seriously. Strong is why there is less empathy for us. Strong is why we are put last in every movement, because we can handle it. And it's just funny how, especially in Black community, one word can have so many different meanings. So I get the strength is how we made it, you know, obviously, but I also just want to urge us as Black women to look at other qualities. I'm sorry, I do apologize. And men.
No, it's okay.
We already,
You know, I love you, girl.
Yeah, no, correct. I'm open
about
to
to
be
say,
corrected.
woo, I'm single though.
No, I want to be corrected. And I hope somebody gets what I'm saying, because I feel like I'm rambling now. But strength for me just definitely means that to give up all of what I thought it meant in my 20s, you know, that I was taking care of everybody and I was so super strong. Now it is my softness, and it is my vulnerability of just saying, you know, no, I don't have the answers. No, I cannot, you know. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Anybody else want to chime in on that word?
I'd like to add.
Yes, go ahead.
I think it's funny, first of all, how you just shared that piece that you shared on Instagram, because I recently, well, growing up, I'm still very young, of course, but like in the last 2 to 3 years, I'd say I just recently discovered my love and hate for strength. Just because, I mean, the poem or the statement you just read just kind of summed up what I was going to say. Like, you know, we're often overlooked, rarely overlooked. And because we're strong, and you know, I just kind of had a love and hate relationship for that word, because it's just like, you know, we're more than just strong. We're human first of all, and we're women. Like at that, like, you know what I'm saying? We're more emotional beings. Like, yeah, we're strong, but we're emotional beings too. Like, you know, and I don't know. I just had a realization with that word, love and hate. Like, of course, love being strong, love being able to get through what most people can't, love being able to overcome hurdles and obstacles and not allow one thing to stop me, and not allowing multiple things to stop me, not allowing people to stop me. But also it just came to a point where it's like, well, damn, like I really said and cried out to myself, to God. like, damn, I don't want to be strong anymore. Like, when is my help coming? You know, and getting emotional even just talking about it. But like, that was me. Like, and I don't know. I just really have a love and hate relationship with that word. And yeah, I just thought it was really, really funny that you even shared that piece from Instagram, because I actually recently saw that as well. And yeah, but it's something that I'm going through, and yeah, so that's my standpoint on strength. Like, of course I love it, but also kind of hating it because of the society norms and all of that good stuff. Like, we deserve to.
Yes. Well, you know, thank you, sweetheart, for sharing what you're feeling. And this is what this is about. This is about the voices of our community and our families to be able to share, because when we share, we empower each other, and we never know what folks are going through, you know. So thank you for sharing that, and your tears are healing. Remember that we are here. We're here together.
Oh, I know.
And this is the reason. Excuse me?
I said, oh yeah, I know. Tears is like
we got this. We connected for a reason, and hey, it's on. We got something going here. We will continue to keep it moving. Anybody else want to say anything about the word strength?
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, you may.
I just want to say to Anastasia, I know exactly what she means. Like, you know, we lean into the word just as we lean into faith, like strong is what gets us through. What helps me make my peace with the word is when I look at it like this, that love is the strongest healing force in the universe. So when I equate strength to source of love or God or whatever you call it, instead of it resting on me, it helps a little bit. So I don't know if that helps you, but I felt I should share that because I definitely understand your sentiment and I love you.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to?
I love you too.
Anybody else want to chime in on that word?
I want to say, is it Panisha?
Patanisha.
Patanisha. When I was talking today with Barbara, one of the things that, and I'm older than anyone probably on this panel, and so I've had to weather so many storms, and you brought the sensitivity by sharing your humanness, because as I shared with Barbara today, I said, this isolation, this COVID, the climate that we're in has really gotten me in a place that I'm fighting to survive. So instead of surrendering right now, for me, it's probably not as healthy to acknowledge the humanness, but it's such a unique experience for me to see all this unfolding, because I've done so much research on history, to be back to where we started. And in the research, all I could find out was how incredibly phenomenal our ancestors were. And they shouldn't have had to be. None of us should have to fight like we're fighting, without question. But I had to call upon them, and I had to step back because it was very hurtful to hear the trauma that they went through. And then as African-American women, and the young man there too, I'm not omitting you from that conversation, that we do have the dual burden, because we need to be strong, but then how do we express that? Because along with that, when we become strong, when we have medical issues, it's no big deal. We're supposed to be able to get through it and just minimize and trivialize our pain and suffering. But when I looked at, again, trying to put sense of this, I looked at it from the standpoint of what our ancestors endured, and how in this difficult time, I'm tapping on their messages and their experiences to try to counterbalance the challenges that we're facing today. But
Could you, Crystal?
Yeah.
Could you share about what you're doing with the quilts and the quilt that's behind you? And then we'll move on. I want you to share so they can get a perspective of what you actually do with our history.
Okay. So I'm a retiree from education. I was 30 years deep into it. And so along the way, as I was teaching and then I got into administration, I saw such a lag of information about our history and a lack of information about a history, and then a determination not to share the balance of the story. And so for the last 10 years, I would say I just started doing some research after enduring some challenges with my white counterparts. And then as I start looking for things, and I came through, I was in an educational system that didn't provide many role models for us. And so then I started researching, and this one quote that is behind me, this A Stolen People, is part of a 5-part series. And it looks at slavery. And I think it's just right so surface for me right now that these are the ancestors, the spirit of our ancestors when I did it. So if you can see the colorful people in the past, I had to think about the spirit of our ancestors. I did not want the horrific nature of slavery to kill the spirit that prevailed amid all the horrible existence that they went through. And so it's part of a 5-part series that I have. And I picked out colors that would stand out right, because every time I thought about slavery, the colors were gloom and doom. But I wanted to have something that really celebrated the unique strength and fortitude of our ancestors and what I learned along the way. So I have one that talks about the auction block, strange fruit, talk about lynching. So, and I can't finish the 5th one because it's so hard for me to finish it now. I'm just taking a turn and doing another one, but that's kind of where the quilt is. I have I have about 40 some odd quilts now. Part of my purpose, and I think, as we were talking today, Barbara, and I think it's so important to find purpose, that the road that I traveled and the hardships that I bared all were part of a journey that I was going to take. And the journey right now for me is trying to talk about our history in the context of who we are, and understanding our contributions as African Americans. And for me, it was it helped build strength for me when I was going through a hardship situation, to listen to the stories of my ancestors, to say, wow. But it did not take away from the fact that it is a burden to try to always be strong. And as a woman, and as a Black woman, the perception about you not having emotions, hence the angry Black woman reference, you don't have the right to emotions, only we do. And the white fragility that is there, but then the Black woman has the burden in so many different levels. So I can understand it, and I really do appreciate those perspectives. I had a recent conversation with my niece, that were younger, of your age group, and they keep me on point. They say, okay.
Yeah. Me too. That's why they on here.
Yeah, they keep me on point. I say, okay, I hadn't considered that perspective, but I don't want to get lost in the process, because I've spent so much time doing the research, and that information is mind-boggling to me at this point. But I do appreciate those voices, because I also sit back and I listen. I think about, how can I incorporate positivity in things that were very negative, so that we can rise above it and move forward.
Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that. And there it is, just to lead into, first wanted to see if anybody else wanted to share their thoughts on that particular word, but different perspectives, generations coming together and having a conversation. This is what this is about, that we can, your perspective may not be mine. I learn from you and you learn from me. That's the beauty about why we're doing this tonight. And I thank you again for participating, people of color. This is us. So anybody else want to tap in on the word strength before I move to my next word? All right. Well, you know what? A gentleman. Where's the gentleman? A gentleman want to tap in on the word strength? What do you think? What comes to your mind when you hear that word? One of the young men we have on the show.
You said my.
Oh, hey, both of y'all at the same time. Go. Go ahead, Devon.
You said.
Then we got you, Emo.
What do I think about strength when I hear, or what I think when I hear the word strength? Is like, being Black, especially being young and Black, people always, and being a male, people always like expect you to be this strong, like always like, never like shy or soft or anything, but it's like everyone has like feelings. I got to I kind of realized that like recently that I see a lot of my older friends grow up and to be like these not so good people just because they want to act tough and act hard all the time. It's like you don't have to do that. That's what I think when I hear strength is just, especially me, it's like always trying to be tough and not being like just a regular person, just living life. Like you don't have to be all like extra with it.
Thank you for sharing. Emo, go ahead.
Contradicting to what Devon said, well, most people think that the stronger you are, the better chances you have. When really, like, it's not really all about that. There is no strength or weak. Like, there is no strong versus the weak. There is no David versus Goliath. It's all just like we're all just middle class, whether we like it or not.
Thank you for sharing your point of view. Thank you. All right. Anybody else want to go ahead and tap in on that word strength again? And if not, I'm going to go on and move to my next word. And the next word is courage. Share about what the word courage means to you.
Well, I was on to strength, and I think it goes hand in hand with.
Go ahead.
I also think that it's important that we begin to define things for ourselves, because all of these things are relative. And when I think about the image that came to mind when I thought about strength is just a tug of war and being able to go back and forth and asserting that the strongest person at the end. But how do you actually win? It's about being able to get other people on your team and recognizing that you can do more together. But part of getting more people on your team is that release and being vulnerable enough to do that, to say, I need your help as a part of it. So I think that as much as strength can be being able to carry something, I think that on the flip side of that, it's also being able to release and let go too, and just let things be in order to be present. And I think that in itself takes courage, like being able to stand up in the face of and still be present without knowing what exactly to do, but just telling yourself that it's going to be okay. So I think it's mainly about being present in the moment.
Thank you. Anybody else want to tap in on the word courage?
I would say, I mean, I kind of want to echo some of the stuff that
Go
we
ahead.
discussed with strength, but courage kind of reminds me of the idea that it's about taking a step when fear is present, not, trying to dissociate fear from the equation, but making sure that we take steps forward when we are faced with those situations where fear is in front of us. We're face to face. And I guess for me, strength is, I mean, it's the perception of strength for me, like growing up was different, and it added layers, kind of like a shell around me, where me as a male, the expectation is that being strong is being, not showing emotion, and going back to the idea that Patanisha mentioned of vulnerability, it kind of transitioned at one point, and having the ability to let people in and connect with you, and doing that from, again, I think the expectation for Black males is that we can't showcase that part of ourselves. So I think being vulnerable and building bridges for other people to walk into, where we are, I think that's emblematic of what strength is.
Thank you, Brian, for sharing. Anybody else want to tap in on the word courage?
I would say the word courage is, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful, because I got my headset on. I would say the word courage is stepping out on faith. I would say courage is stepping into doing something that you would normally be afraid to do, but you just kind of like set your fear aside and say, you know what, this needs to be done for me, for others in life. So let me just be the one to have that courage to step out, be that lion, you know, pull that strength that's deep inside of you out. That's courage to me. Courage is to being able to do something that you would have never done. This is just, again, stepping out on faith. That's what courage is to me.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anybody else want to?
I'm gonna tap in real quick and say that I think that strength and courage for me also goes together, but I would say that it would take strength to have courage, if that makes sense. So you could be as strong as you want to be, you know, but not have the courage to step out on faith, not have the courage to take a chance. I have the courage. So I think you need to have the strength to even have the courage to move forward into the things that you want to do, or you say you want to do, or who you want to be, where you want to be in life. You got to have the courage to do that, or the strength to have the courage to do that. So for me, those words go hand in hand with each other. And I don't think that you can have one without the other.
Thank you. Anybody else want to tap in on that? Miss Gloria, what you think?
No, you didn't call me out.
How you doing? We family in here.
Well, I was just thinking, you know, as everyone was talking, that it takes courage to step up and talk about courage.
Come on.
You know, it's one of those things where, you know, you don't think about, you just do. You know, myself and maybe someone is, you know, in a beef. Okay, so do I bring up courage then? No, or do I bring up, well, you know, let me step back, you know, type of thing. So courage is to me, you have to be able to define when and where and how that's going to show up in your life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if I can just share. Hello?
Go right ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good evening, all. So I wanted to kind of piggyback on both of the words.
Beautiful face? Oh, can we see her beautiful face? I think
So I believe that they do go hand in hand. For me, I believe strength and courage is basically the example that I had before me, whether that be my ancestors, whether that be me following the tools and the instructions that's left in the Bible, whether it be my mother or a family member. I think that goes hand in hand for me. It's just an example of what I strive to be and what I know I should walk in for me, for both of those words.
Thank you. Anybody else want to tap in on that?
I'm trying to quantify how you say, I don't know. I think courage sometimes means to be vulnerable as well. It takes a great deal of courage to allow yourself to step out, just like somebody said, stepping out on faith, but to be vulnerable. And that's a courageous move for a lot of us. And it takes a lot of forethought, but you know, I think it's also part of the equation for self-discovery and growth.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, you know, having the courage without even knowing what's gonna happen is a part of the process. And like tonight, our young folks are tapping in. You guys are courageous, like Miss Crystal said, enough to share. We share about everything, but how do we at times empower and encourage and inspire somebody else by showing them that we have the courage to help them? How do we and help society make different changes? Bryant is a person that is creating a container for us to think about a whole new way of learning, thinking, of being, and eating. You know, how did him and his team have the courage to do something different? How do you be different? I am one. The courage means to me, how do you be unique, extraordinary, and different? It takes courage to be that. Don't be like everybody else. What I say to folks is that if you try to be like somebody else, you're a carbon copy. You're not the original. So it takes courage to be the original you. Courage also takes on me having to find out who I am as an individual, how I think, how I feel, how I learn, and learn everything about me. You know, society has us set up to learn about other people, but don't sit down and learn about who you are. Don't be still to learn about what your thoughts are. What can you bring to society? We have to have the courage to do this. We have to have the courage to have this conversation. And you all press through for us to have this conversation. This information and conversation is going to help folks all over the world, just as well as your story will help me, my story will help you. This is about us tapping in and just sharing our perspectives. And in our perspective, there's healing for everybody. This is the beauty about what we're doing tonight. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And B-HBrilliantMinds Project Inc. thanks you for doing this and participating. So if anybody else want to tap in, go ahead.
I just want to say, you know, just sitting here and thinking, you know, courage takes a bit of fearlessness.
Yes.
You know, I think that's a big word for me when you think of courage. You know, I'm a tall woman.
Hey.
And I'm proud of being tall now.
Yeah.
But when I was growing in grammar school, when I say tall, I'm tall, y'all. I'm 6 feet. Okay.
Woo, yeah.
And so, you know, that didn't look good when I was younger. I wasn't 6 feet younger. I mean, I wasn't 6 feet when I was in grammar school, but I was like 5'8", 5'9", which was kind of taller. And the brother that I liked, of course, was short. And, you know, so when you know, I just like, well, Gloria, you're going to have to be fearless. You're going to have to embrace your tallness, because someone short came up to me and said, wow, you are such a beautiful tall lady, you know, and not lady, that's when I was younger. You're a beautiful tall girl. And I didn't even look at it like that, y'all, before. You know, I was always trying to find flat shoes and you know, be amongst the norm. But I realized you are uniquely you. So you better embrace your tallness, be fearless of that. And once I realized that, girl, couldn't nobody touch me. I don't care how short you was, how tall you was. I knew I was beautiful by being tall. So that word for me looked like fearlessness.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to share y'all that story, because can't tell me nothing now. All right. Now.
All right. Anybody else want to tap in on that word?
I want to tap in because
go ahead.
I mean, I keep thinking about so much, but when two things. One, when Miss Crystal was talking, I can't help but, you know, that's the bond that me and Barbara have in common, is we are ancestor babies. You know, we definitely have a real relationship with God and believe in our ancestors and angels, and want and need their approval in going forward. And I just wanted to share that with Miss Crystal, because I honor what you do. And now I know who you are. I know your work, and it's just beautiful for us to have this space to hear why you do it. And I just want you to know that I respect that, and I love that. And I'm one of the ones to carry your legacy too. And I also, in having the relationship with my grandmothers and her sisters being so close, one of them in particular helped me to make peace with what I had a lot of, and maybe I'll run up and get a piece of art I can share with you guys. The piece that I made with my ancestors who I knew as a child. You know, they had a lot of baggage that they carried from sharecropping, from parents who were in slavery. And they were vulnerable enough with me to say, you know, we want to see different. You still have to be this way and this way. And that was based on their experiences, but it all still works together. And it also is a head trip at times. When Miss Gloria brought up her first definitions, it gave me peace of mind. And I said, that's why I typed in the chat, discernment, like, because strength and courage, it has a flow, strength. So sometimes strength means standing your ground, and sometimes are keeping your boundary there, but sometimes strength means giving it all up. And how do we know when what comes into play? And that's why I got a relationship with God, or the universe, the divine, whatever you call it, because I don't know that I do not know it all. I don't know, you know, what times to play what. That's when my superhero strength is giving it to God. But I just wanted to thank both the elders on the line for this space and the young people. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
But I want to say, I'm walking away, I'm thinking as I'm hearing all this stuff, because like I said, my daughters and my cousins, they bring in a perspective that it's different. You know, the social media, the access, the things are so different than when I grew up. And then my perspective is shaped by my experiences, obviously. And so hearing the more personalized versions, because that's what I'm hearing from the younger people.
That's right.
That has given me the perspective I need to have, because you can absolutely get caught up in the factual historical things and get consumed by it, but you got to come back to the positivity of things. And when I saw your comment about love, Patanisha, did I get it right? When I saw your comment about love, I agree. And that's the struggle sometimes for me, because I've accumulated all this experience and I see the world through a lens that was shaped by many of those experiences. And now at my ripe age to get historical perspective, sometimes it takes me to a different place. And so that place is not always shaped by love. And in order to heal, which is what I think we all need to do, and particularly in this time and period, and in order to continue to have hope, you have to figure out how do you navigate around that. And particularly people in my generation, because they were exposed to a lot of the same things I was. And I'm speaking in generalities. Certainly there are people that don't fall into that place. But it is coming together to understand the perspectives of the younger generation.
Yes.
The experiences they may have that are different than ours, because we're navigating the world in different zones with different people. But I'm now focused on the word love and that little message that you sent out there, because I said, yeah, because the history was not filled with love. And even the climate right now is missing some of that love part. But I know that can bring about such a powerful, transformative change in the minds of individuals, in my life, and collectively as a nation. So we have to find a way to balance knowledge, which I think we definitely are missing in teaching our kids about history, but also the humanness of individuals and then of collective people. So I thank you guys for shining some light on me, because I have to get shaken out of my tree of confidence and say, well, maybe that's something I didn't think about.
That's right. Thank you, Crystal. So if no one else wants to, is that Kelsey? We haven't heard from you tonight. Girl, if you don't tap in here, if you don't tap in, I know something. Come on, we need y'all wisdom. We got y'all young folks is giving us wisdom too. So we love it. We soaking this up. Y'all talking about we don't understand, we don't know, but we trying to understand and know. So we need you guys to share with us. Come on. Come on.
Okay.
As they say, come on in here.
What's the word? Courage?
Yes, go ahead.
I think that Um, courage means to courage means
Be your beautiful self, like them big, beautiful black eyes there. Girl, look, walk in your greatness, that beauty. Go ahead.
I think courage means to have fear but still being able to move forward. And I think that um, courage is a part of like it's a part of like and it's an everyday thing because things that people think that we can't that people think things that people a lot of the things that people think that they can do other people are doing. Like a lot of people probably wanted to join the Zoom call, but they're like, no, I don't want to join the Zoom call. I'm scared to meet people. Like, I don't want to show my face, or, you know what I mean? So even there's no like size of courage. Like it could be big or small. It could be, you know, showing up to an event. It could be speaking out. It could be saying how you feel. So there's so many different acts of courage. And I think that it's just being able to move forward despite of anything, like, you know what I mean? Because so many things can get inside your way. But when you have courage, just like tying back into the words of having strength, it's just like, okay, you know what? I'm scared, but I'm still going to do it.
Thank you. Thank you for tapping in and sharing that wisdom with us tonight. We appreciate that. You know, to say to you young folks, you have the courage, and we and I commend you to be able to walk these streets today. You guys, every day y'all walk out of these doors, y'all have courage, you know. So when you show up, when you walk out, when you do your everyday work and whatever you doing, to me, I see you guys having courage, because it's a trip walking out these doors. It's like, we don't know what can happen. And we want to say kudos to you all for being able to have the strength and the courage to walk out in these streets every day. You know, there are scenarios that you guys have experienced with your friends and situations in your life that you have to have courage and strength to get through. You here today. So that is just seeing y'all here. It's like, whoa, this is the strength and the courage. And we thank you. So is there any young man want to share anything about the word courage? Okay. And we have Miss, is that Janetta? How are you? Thank you for being on here with us. You want to tap in with something?
I certainly can.
Yes, please.
I love to, I work and spend all my day on Zoom. So when I have the opportunity to hear other people, I like to take that step back, because it's pretty draining, you know, to interface on a computer all day. Whereas before this, I was used to doing it with people, and it's taken a toll for sure on the eyes, hence the glasses. But the one that stood out to me the most was strength from this conversation so far, because I'm a mom. I have a 4-year-old, and
your
yes,
wife,
Brian,
Mrs.
my
Brian's
husband.
wife. Thank you for
Yeah, so he's in the room and I'm in the living room right now.
All right,
and,
y'all tapping in together.
Exactly. And so with our 4-year-old taking on that new role of a parent, right? When we found out we were pregnant now almost 5 years ago, and just realizing that it takes a lot of strength to parent with a new lens, and not to bring in a lot of the more, I hate to say it, but like violent and authoritarian practices that maybe we faced as kids. And the strength as a mom, particularly to show up for my pregnancy and my birth, and to claim that experience, and not subject to all the fear that, I don't know why, when people see a pregnant woman, they try to instill so much fear about what it's going to be like to be a mom and to go through birth. And for us, it was was really trying to really own that new chapter as parents. And we actually opted for delivering our child at home in a home birth with a midwife, and trying to take it back
That
to
took courage.
how it was. Yeah, courage too. And
that took courage.
The strength to not be, I guess, subject to what other people told us that parenting was going to be. And just know that we were going to raise this young mixed brown black boy, right? That was going to be our we're going to own that, and teach him to own his culture and his identity. Yeah. And it still continues to be the one thing I'm just the most proud of, is being a mom to him. And it's been 4 years already, but it's still he's still just this little baby.
Oh, that's true. And thank you for tapping in. We appreciate your wisdom.
Thank you.
He's always going to be your little baby. Mine is 27.
You guys are always going to be our little babies. It doesn't matter how old you get. It's look, I'm already in my 30s and 20s, and it's well, you still in our eyes, you're our babies. But
that's
it's
right,
all
sister.
Good. And I know that during this time, and
the baby don't know mom.
You are always going to be my baby. He's 20, y'all, but he's always going to be my baby.
Right on. And
if I could say courage, I'm sorry, Barb, if I could just jump in. Courage to me is also to say no. A lot of things, a lot of pressure hits you in life, and you know that it's wrong. So to me, it takes courage to say no and to walk away from things as well. That's my tap in, sorry.
No. Thank you for the wisdom again. So with that, my next word is around being creative, the creativity. Tell us a little bit about how you are being creative, and tell us a little bit about what you're doing to be creative and make a difference.
For me,
go ahead. For you.
I don't know how to live my life without being creative.
Come on.
And I think that is something that goes along with being Black, or not even just with the race, but along with being disenfranchised. It makes you creative. It makes you creative in how you're going to make it through, how you're going to express yourself, how you're going to get what you need. And I'm blessed that I come from an extremely creative family. So even though, my mother wasn't actively creative, it still was around me. And it's been my expression. I've always, and I don't consider myself a typical visual artist. But I have been holding art groups since I was 5. I was literally 5 years old, wow, gathering people together and getting the crayons and pinning it on the dollhouse walls. It's been my thing. But the older I get, I kind of stumbled into this field of realizing that it's healing. Mm-hmm. It was just something we did to occupy the time, or just, And I realized that it's been my healing. And then I realized, wait, it's more than healing. This is my voice. Mm-hmm. And I can put how I feel out there, and other folks have to hear me or mm-hmm. see me. And then I realized the strength in, I can use my talent. So I'm a photographer, y'all. I can use my talents to get other people's visual ideas across, or help them express who they are. With Baby's poem, I Am Me. It made me think of so many photo shoots, Dinesha's poem, yes. So all that to say, creativity for me is not only my healing, my connection to staying to the divine. It is also what I share with other people. And it is, I also feel it's my calling because now I've moved from photography into film because I want to capture more people's stories. I've always been one to listen to, you know, my great grandmother and her children, and every elder I come across, I listen, but you know, history is still passing. And if we don't capture these and if we don't learn to tell our stories, they disappear. And the next generation has to kind of relearn things all over again. So I'm on one, y'all. I'm definitely on one. I feel like I'm on creative fire with this pandemic. And yeah, that's just where I am. I also feel totally crazy. Like, why would I take this on? But that's when I have the strength to get out my way and know that that's all my fears coming up. And if I really believe what I'm saying, you know, God's going to show up and show out. So that's how I feel about creativity.
Thank you. Anybody else want to share on creativity?
Well, I'm going to jump on the whole thing about the healing aspect of creativity. I think for me, since COVID began, I'm on lockdown and I'm taking care of my mother, that this burst of drive is just overwhelmed me. What would typically take me 2 or 3 months, I've created like 7 quilts since we've been on the COVID. And I don't claim it. I think it's speaking through me. But at the same time, you know, it has saved me because of all the things that were going on. You know, this gave me a vehicle to think about colors, to think about beads, to think about how I can write up something in an expressive way that captures the interest, but doesn't consume the interest, the focus, so that people can read it and get bits of information to inspire them to want to learn more. So, but that's always been, since I've grown up, I've always had poetry writing or whatever. And this is just something that, you know, I didn't plan on doing, but it has been saving for me because it's giving me a vehicle. I can't even imagine what I would have done in COVID if I wasn't quilting. I would have gone bonkers because I can't watch but so much Netflix and then I'm done. And so it's been, it saved me and it's healing as well. And it's also a very effective distraction that, again, gives me purpose for a legacy I'd like to leave behind when I'm gone. And so that's what creativity is for me.
Thank you. And to you other young folks, what are you doing now that you're expressing your creativity? How are you using what you know, things you love to do, your passion, to create another source of form of income for you? What are you all doing? Anybody doing anything or thinking about starting a business or thinking about selling your art, your work, whatever you create? Any of you young folks are doing any of that? I know we have some spoken word artists. Are you turning your work into, go ahead, Mr. Ivanok. Ivanok.
There you go.
Go ahead.
I want to first say, yeah, sure. I've been here. I'm actually the third member of Brian's team.
Hey.
So I am a well, what I was gonna first say is I want to just thank everybody for sharing earlier. I was really just taking it all in. So for me, creativity is an interesting feeling because I have some skills. I'm a software developer by trade. So I work for Rutgers University. I'm on the East Coast, y'all.
Hey,
and
thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and I code, and the really it's like it's an awesome experience. I really feel like it's almost like a superpower. Like I'm wrangling information in the air, and then the way I view it, it's fascinating. It's beautiful. But what I've always appreciated is my desire to use those skills to help wherever I can. So even before I started coding, when I started college, I used to have like 6 years experience with Photoshop. I used to just play around, just follow some tutorials, create like some fancy text and all that. And then I went to a meeting for an organization, and they were talking about their plans for the semester, and they're like, "Oh, we need somebody to make flyers." And I'm like,
Wow.
"Oh, that's all you really need?" Okay, yeah. And then like they kept going with their meeting, and then before the meeting was finished, I'm like, "Oh, is this good enough?" And they were like, "Oh my God, that's so cool." And it was awesome. I felt very fulfilled. I'm like, oh my God, this thing that I used to just play around with is actually like helping you fulfill your purpose. But then luckily for me, I took the next step and I got curious about, well, what is your purpose? And I started getting involved in the issues that a lot of the organizations on campus, specifically from the Latino community. I was born in the Dominican Republic, and it was just like I was just learning about the challenges of my people in this country, and then how organizations at the collegiate level get involved. And it's literally from then on that I started joining other organizations. I eventually became the co-chair of the Latino Student Council, and like I've continuously been able to just use that. Like I walk into a room, I walk into a conversation whenever I'm meeting somebody, and my brain isn't listening to everything that they're saying, because I really want to figure out how I can help them with what I know. With all the like, all the time that I spent practicing my craft or just reading about things, I oftentimes find myself knowing something that a lot of people don't know. And so so I work for the university, and I work with Brian and Jeanette on Tom, and that's a project that's been awesome because of what we're trying to do with food and its effects on our people. But I just recently started working with a nonprofit from my hometown that hooked me up with a scholarship when I graduated high school. Yeah, well, yeah, right. And they've done some awesome work. It's a nonprofit that they exist. It's the New Brunswick Education Foundation. So they exist to give scholarship to the graduates from our hometown. We have 2 high schools, and it's been great since they started. They've had just more and more students receiving scholarships year over year, that it's gotten to the point that they have so many students that they want to get better in their infrastructure, in how they're checking in on them, and making sure that they have their resources both when they are in college and then even beyond that. So I'm actually working with them right now this winter, hooking them up with a couple of services and platforms, and helping them structure all that so that they can do that. And that's a thing that like I get on the phone with Emmanuel Ford, the director, and he's just talking. I'm like, yeah, I got something on mind. And then 2 days later, he's just like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, let's get started, man. Let's go. So for me, it's really the highlight moment in college when I realized that like I'm probably gonna do this for the rest of my life is learning. It was a retreat that one of the centers at the university does, and we did an event called I forgot the actual name, but it's like where you like everybody lines up in the back, and then everybody closes their eyes, and somebody says, take one step forward if you've experienced this in your life, take a step back, and then at the end, you see where everybody stands differently. And on our way back, I was just processing all that, and what I realized from that moment is that because of how all the cards laid out, I definitely grew up more privileged than a lot of folks, and I have not had to really fight for my survival like I've seen a lot of people have to, right? And then I have all these skills, right? Like I'm able to create. So if I can help somebody get to like wherever they are trying to go, for whatever that means to them, like let's go. Like it just makes sense for me. Like if I have these skills, let me help them. Let me help those around me.
Yes. That's awesome. That is so awesome. And thank you for sharing, and I would encourage all of you young folks that's on here, to make sure you put in the chat and you stay connected to each other, because it's just not about us doing this, just sharing this information, but it's about how do you collectively come together and create something and make something happen. You got these guys that have created this doggone Facebook stuff in the garage. They're in the garage, and them folks is millionaires and all that. So you can't tell me that you creative young folks can't come together, our people, and make something happen. You know, that's what I'm looking, that's why I'm hoping, and what we are hoping, and our generation and the ones that's on here are hoping that we can inspire you, encourage you, hear what you're saying, and how do we connect you and you all make things work. That's what our nonprofit is about. How do we bring brilliant minds together to create something that's going to change the world? You can't tell me that we can't work together. I don't want to hear that mess. We can do it. Everybody else do it. One thing I can share, I'm gonna share this information with you all. And this came from a friend of mine. She's in this Fortune 500. She has a portfolio that's probably millions and billions of dollars money that she controls and looks over, right? She's probably the only Black person that's in her field. She's like, she would tell me if she goes to a place and it's about 500 of them, it's probably only 2 of them, and they're Black women in that place. So with that, she told me that the man said this, and this man had money. He said, one thing that we don't have to worry about is Black and brown people can't work together. They will not work together. They won't bring their resources together. So we don't worry about them. Even though we don't like each other, we will bring our resources, we will bring our ideas together to get what we want. And when she told me that, I was like, what? Oh, I'm determined to make that a lie. So that's why we go so hard on the work that we do in our community, is that we know our young folks is brilliant. You guys are the ones that can change this world. And that me knowing this is how they think when they get together, is that they don't care about us. We ain't worried about them, because they're gonna pull each other down, and they're not gonna do anything together. So I'm like, oh yes, I got to prove this. That's wrong. No, not the young folks that I deal with. Oh no, they brilliant. So again, we encourage you guys to definitely make sure you connect with each other, see what the creativity things that you're doing, and how do you pull it together, and how do you guys get a team and make this happen. And that's what Mr. Brian is doing with you young folks. And he's doing it through, share a little bit about the food, Brian, this new concept that you have.
Sure thing. Hi, everyone. So my name is Brian. I am the CEO and one of the founders of the Orange Market. And it's a technology company. We are focused on helping people find healthy, sustainable food in their area according to their dietary needs, restrictions, preferences, and do it in a way where we are basically shifting the way that communities are designed, by making sure that we are wrangling data from different places and making sure that diverse voices are at the table at the creation of tech. Typically, when a company is founded, it's typically from a not very diverse perspective. And so, you look at, the DoorDashes of the world, you look at the meal delivery apps that exist in the ecosystem, and it's really not getting us to where we need to be. The food system is not designed for people of color. And this started with me and I was walking around in East Harlem, New York, which is where I'm from. I was looking for a healthy place to eat. And I had my own dietary needs and issues. I had some form of leprosy that I was developing from the food that I was eating, and like chronic nosebleeds, all types of things that were happening to me. I just felt like I was a victim of food abuse, right? And so I couldn't find anything. I was in East Harlem, and then when I walked by the local Burger King, I saw that they were taking EBT benefits. And at that point, I realized that we had fully institutionalized chronic disease. And this was a primarily Black and Black Latino neighborhood in New York. And it kind of brought everything together for me. I lost my stepfather when I was 5 years old. He was the only father that I ever knew. He died of a food-induced heart attack on his hospital bed. And, you know, these are things that when I look at you know, where we are, we call it, we're disrupting the crib to chronic disease pipeline. That's what we call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so our team has just kind of come together. I went to Duke, Berkeley, MIT, Rutgers are all at the helm, creating this new technology platform to ensure that we go 100 miles per hour in the right direction. 2021 has to be a period in time that leads to collective healing and wellness through food. And we're also connecting it to our sustainability goals and carbon sequestration. And again, the food that we make and the way that we produce food is actually the end-to-end largest contributor to climate change. So I think that future for us, for Black, for Latino, for our communities that need healing is to have this opportunity to actually help heal the planet together. So that's kind of what we've been working on and framing. And it's been, a journey, you know, that I'm really proud of, and I have an amazing team that we're going to continue to grow on. Our goal is to create tons of opportunity along the way to make sure that we create wealth, that we create generational wealth. And we say that there's no generational wealth without generational health. So let's make it happen.
Hey, that's what we're talking about. We gonna make it happen. We came together, and this is the generation, and you all are the ones that can make these changes happen in society, you know, because your social media pages and the things that you tune into, these folks is getting money. Every time you tap in, every time you be on their sites and all that kind of stuff. Now we want to create something that you can make money from them tapping in on your stuff. And how do we bring you all together to make that happen? So go ahead.
And one last note for, you know, the younger folks on the call is that creativity is about imagination.
Yes.
Creativity is about inspiration. And honestly, what keeps us going is knowing that y'all are coming up and that you guys are going to make this happen and this transformation happen in the next few years that is going to shock the world.
Yeah.
So know that your future is set up. You're going to get it. And, you know, we're going to support you along the way.
Yes.
Can I piggyback on some of what you just said too? That I think no greater message went out for a lot of people who were woke in 2020 than the efforts to oppress the vote, because young folks were coming out in great numbers.
Yes.
It's Black Lives Matter that was generated by young people that had international power and attention. Nobody from my generation came up. We can talk a lot, but you guys made it happen. And so there's no question about it. There's a desire to squash it. That's why the fear is so high, that if the voices of the young rise up and become agents of change, which we already are, and that often while they'll say those things behind closed doors, we don't count on them doing anything. There is a fear, a fear that if we rise up and we get the credit and the opportunity to take hold of the American dream as it's defined in general, that will overtake the systems of oppression and institutional racism. And so I think that's part of what the challenge is. So to hear this young man talk about giving back to the community, both these two young men that were talking, and to hear the poem and to hear the goals and the sensitivity factor of all of us, that is inspirational to me, because I don't think we have been there. And yet you're leading the way and opening the eyes of others to see what greatness we can achieve as individuals and collectively, and the unimaginable. There's no limitation otherwise in what we can achieve, because nobody would have thought Black Lives Matter would have been an international theme. No one would have thought that. And in the attempt to try to squash that down, to remove that power, we all know how that went. But also the fear of the rising of the young people to get involved in the political system, no matter how flawed it is, it speaks to the fact that there is knowledge. There may be denial, but there is knowledge in the power that the younger generation hold. Once one individual, two individuals, we collectively come together to bring about change. So I applaud these voices. I'm really awestruck for the pathways and the differences they're making, one step at a time, but having gargantuan steps that they're making that will affect the future.
Boy, well said. Couldn't have said it any better than what you said. And this is how we tag team, and this is how we tap in and give yourselves a hand. Everybody give yourselves a something around here, because y'all up here doing it. This is exciting, and we are so grateful and thankful for you sharing your wisdom. This is what we have done tonight, is sharing, empowering, and inspiring each other. And your perspective, we're able to learn from, vice versa. Anybody else want to share with the word creativity, and we moving into wisdom, and we gonna end this night with you all have shared the wisdom. Go ahead, Pata.
Oh no, that's Anastasia. I was just
Anastasia, go. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We're so excited. Go ahead.
It's frozen.
Uh-oh. But we can still hear your voice.
At least it's frozen on a cute smile.
Oh. That there is true. That there is true. Anybody else want to share a closing thoughts of wisdom? Oh, go ahead, babe. Go ahead. This is y'all. This is what I'm talking about. We want y'all to tap in and say, wait a minute, I ain't finished. Go ahead.
Whoa, she's back. I'll talk after her. She's back.
Okay.
Are you sure? You can go ahead.
No, you can go.
Okay, cool. I was just saying, like, I think of my own journey when it comes to creativity, and just how I transformed into the person I am now when it comes to creating. But also, my creativity isn't just for me. It's my therapy, but it's also, you never know who's going to be inspired. Like I believe someone said already on here, when you step out on it with, I think it was with courage, and having the strength to use courage. My art is not just for me. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's my therapy, it's how I heal. It comes from a real place, and I've learned to use my own vulnerability and my story and what I go through in life to transform myself and to heal myself. And you just never know when you put it out who's going to hear it and who you're going to heal, who you're going to help, who's out there listening, who's out there watching. Like, I now have 4 nieces, like that's, I like just get so like 4 nieces. I'm an auntie of 4. Like, oh my God. Like, it's such a beautiful thing though. Like, and now I have, 4 beautiful young queens watching me every step of the way. Like, those are the people who are really going to be watching me. Like, yeah, there's people out in the world, but those are the people who are closer to my heart, who are, going to be watching me and are watching me. Like, the oldest one is 7. And she is so creative herself, like so innovative, so just like, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. And then when she take pictures and pose, and then her nana asks her, oh, where you learn that pose from? She's like, Titi, I've been watching Titi. I'm like, oh my God, you've been watching me. Ah, Dios mío. Like, not me, but like, no, I also think that's a beautiful thing. Like, dang, someone's looking up to me. And that's when I think of creativity. It's like it's a healing thing. It's a journey, and it's ever going. It's everlasting. It's never ending. I'm inspired by a lot of different things. You never know who you're going to inspire, and you never know who you're going to inspire and who inspires you. So, no matter how small or how big it is, and so thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead there, love.
I think that one of the main things that comes to mind when I think of creativity is just like all of us being ourselves and me being myself, because I think we live in a generation where it's so easy just to open up your phone and just stare at other people all day, and just you don't even know why you like something. You just like it because a celebrity likes it or an Instagram star likes it. And I feel like that takes away so much creativity from each one of us, because it doesn't give you a chance to be yourself and to like things that you want to like. And maybe an example that I could give that might be funny is, I remember when I was in college and let's just say I had to write like a 4-page paper about, I don't know, let's just say courage. And then maybe it got too late and I'm like, you know what, let me just look up a paper. Let me just find someone else's paper. And I spent so much time trying to copy someone else's paper when I could have just sat down in like 30 minutes or 1 hour and used my own thoughts, which I ended up doing anyways, because I was just taking too much time trying to rewrite someone else's, when I just really sat down. I'm like, you know what, forget this. I'm just going to write my own. And I'm like, wow, if I would have just got creative myself and wrote my own paper, I could have got way further and it would have been so much better in the end. So I'm just saying that just to say, like, when you're yourself, you give yourself a chance to be creative, and you're not just copying someone else. And I think that there's a difference between being inspired by someone and just like copying someone. So I think that it all starts with just saying, like, you know what, let me sit down and figure out what I like to do first. And then you can go on from there. Even through this pandemic, I feel like it gave a lot of people the chance to get creative and see what they like to do, and gave people, like you said, start a business or whatever, because you may have been so busy and so many things were going on before, you didn't have the time to sit down with yourself and say, like, hey self, what do you like to do? Like, how do you feel? And now that we have this time, you're able to say, you know what, I want to work on my poetry. I want to work on, you know, my closet. I want to work on cleaning my house. It's just because you have that time and you like yourself and you're not so focused on the whole entire world, and you just have the time to look at yourself and see what you really like. So I think that's where it starts.
Yeah, I just wanted to double back on the individuality. I think that was a good point as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both. Anybody else want to chime in on that word? Who said that?
For creativity, for me, it would be finding my own creative purpose. And I think as I mature through life, I'm realizing that day in and day out. So I'm just taking in the journey of getting to my creative purpose, and what it actually means, and being able to bring people to my level and not me stoop down to someone else's. I think that resonates with me when it comes to creating.
Thank you for sharing. Someone said something. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing, and thank you again for your time and this rich, rich, rich conversation.
I was going to say something about creativity.
Oh, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Creativity for me is just free space, allowing yourself to think about a lot, and opening yourself into music. Like, poetry can enter yourself into rhymes of rap, or if you're interested in playing instruments like I am, I would love to learn how to play guitar and piano. So
thank you.
Ooh, do you want a guitar? I have a guitar.
Yes.
See, we got resources around here.
Okay.
Connections.
Yep.
Make sure you put that information. Go ahead in the chat. Go ahead, Pata.
No, I was just saying I got it. It's sitting here, still brand new.
Closed mouth don't get fed. And see, look, when you use your voice, you never know what's going to happen. If you wouldn't have said anything, she wouldn't have said I had a guitar. It was sitting there waiting for you. So there it is again, being creative, being yourself, going through this healing process, and you are a healer to heal someone else, and you are a healer to heal yourself. So this has been Awesome. And I do want to share something with you that I even shared with family earlier this week. We were sent a picture that had a lung. Inside of the lung, it looked like a tree. And then it made the comparison between for a tree that grows. And it was talking about how the tree that grows takes in we take in the oxygen, and then the tree, you know, how we are dual together in use. And I wrote this. I had said, as I get older, I see the beauty of life. Enjoy it while you can still breathe. Walk with integrity, dignity, character, courage. And for me, the Lord will give you the ability to love him and yourself and others. The world is waiting for you to give your gift to it. Please sit down and be creative, because your creativity is going to heal and help someone else. And we were born for such a time as this, like our ancestors. They did their part. What creative legacy you're going to leave for yourself and for the next generation to come? And using your voice, connecting with others, and making things happen, and being consistent, having your word as your bond is a part of life, and you will never, ever, ever go wrong. And I am going to have Samantha close us out, and then I am going to come share the ending of our session. Miss Samantha? We can't hear you.
All right. I was going to say, we're so excited again. Thanks for joining us. I think as we just wrap up, just lingering on creativity, I think about the ability to create something out of nothing. So this Tap In series was an idea to bring people together, right? And I think that we should never underestimate the power of our ideas. Brian said imagination too, but especially in these times, because a job is not guaranteed. And I think even the future of work, the future of this society, you know, even a job within itself, I always think about, they say you can, you can like work for someone else, or you can like spend the time building your own business, right? Or organization, you know? So if really, I think if anything, as we walk away from this session and not knowing the future of 2021, all of the uncertainties, all of that, there's so many things that are still lingering out there. But I think if there's one thing that we have to hold on to, it's a lot of what I heard tonight is just centering who we are and the gifts that we have to offer the world. If it's an idea, put it out there, right? Tell somebody so it doesn't just stick with you, so they can hold you accountable. What's going on with that? Did you create the Zoom? Did you create the website? Did you get the guitar, right? So this is an opportunity for us to be connected in a new way, but also to recognize how much creativity, and again, being in this digital world, there's so much creativity. There's so much, we are more connected than we have ever been. So we talk about reaching people, when you put your website out there, you have the capacity and the ability to reach so many other people. And what we hope to get out of these sessions, that we are reaching people, we are touching people, and that this message you go and tell somebody else, but really give it to them so that they can, I believe that, I say all that to say, everything that we need is already inside of us, right? Mm-hmm. So it's our duty, it's our obligation to put it out there, so that, I don't want to say we die with it, so that we don't die with it, but again, we just don't know. The future is so uncertain. So why not just put it out there? Why not just go and do all that you've always wanted to do? So I just want to leave everybody with that element of hope as we virtually walk away from this space, but hopefully continuing to think about how can we truly cultivate not just our gifts, but ourselves in this time.
Thank you for sharing, Samantha. And to you all again, B.H. Brilliant Minds Project, Inc. want to say thank you. And if you have participated in this Zoom session, dial in or on any social media form, you are giving B.H. Brilliant Minds Project, Inc. the authorization to record you, your voice, your comments, and take your picture. And we definitely want to thank our sponsor, the Akanadi Foundation. So Love Can Win grant is why and how we have the opportunity to do this. As Samantha said, this tap-in session came to me and Samantha. I gave her some other words, and because I'm a word person, that's just me. I'm a spoken word artist too. So just in formalizing this, and it happened. And this is our 14th session. So it's crazy for the work, but it's real. And it's like, you know what? Just with the thought, a little something became something that touched lives all over the world. And again, we're so grateful to Akanadi Foundation for the So Love Can Win. These sessions are also uploaded to our website, www.bhbrilliantminds.org, www.bhbrilliantminds.org. They will be uploaded. And then we already have some on there, but you will get an opportunity to send folks to the website and they can see this interview, this session, and others. So again, we want to say thank you for tapping in with us on our 14th series tap-in session. This has been a roller coaster, and the devil was so busy trying to not have us have this tonight, but it happened, and it happened because of you. If you were not persistent, if you didn't push through, it would not be a tap-in 14 tonight. So this is your show. All of them are your show, and then it also will be uploaded to our YouTube channel too. So I say to you all, thank you. And I'm going to have Samantha stop the recording.